This is Grapplers Talk.
What is up, fans of Grapplers Talk? This is Dave coming at you with another episode each and every week. Thank you to everyone for tuning into the podcast, listening, downloading, tuning in, wherever it's at. We appreciate all the love and support we're getting out there. It truly means the world to me. I say that every single week, but it really does. And like I said, it's a passion project, and I'm out here doing this thing just for the love of jiu-jitsu. And I really appreciate everyone sending me messages, telling me it helps them get through their day. And hearing all the positive feedback and reading those reviews out there on all over the internet. I really appreciate everyone for being involved in Grapplers Talk. I'm thrilled to have someone on this week that is doing some pretty big things in the jiu-jitsu scene. I seen him compete it was about a year ago, maybe, at a quintet, and it was a pretty cool event. I'm excited to have none other than Justin on the podcast this week. Welcome to Grapplers Talk. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you so much for inviting me. I heard a lot of good stuff about you. Met you at the quintet again. Super nice. So I'm excited to come on this podcast and talk to you.
Yeah, man. And I always tell people I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd when it comes to martial arts. I'm a nerd when it comes to jujitsu. I want to hear the story. Who got you into jujitsu? What was the reason you got into it? And what was that first training session like?
Yeah, most definitely. So when I was growing up, I was 4 years old. My dad was from Japan. So he actually signed me up at judo. I remember I did not want to do judo. All I ever wanted to do as a kid was play video games, be at home. He took me to my first judo class. I remember I cried. I didn't even go on the mat the first time I did judo. I was so scared. Remember, my dad took me home. He's like, just give it a try, see if you like it. Went back another time, did the whole judo session, loved it ever since. So I did judo back in Colorado Springs from like 4 to 5 years old until I was 16, training at the Olympic Training Center with Ed Liddy. He took third at the Olympics, I believe, in like 1993. But he was like the greatest coach I've ever had for judo. Worked a lot with like Ronda Rousey back then, Travis Stevens, Jimmy Pedro. They would always come to the Olympic Training Center because that's when they were getting ready for the Olympics, stuff like that. As a kid, I never really like thought of them like big names until now, so it's kind of crazy. But yeah, I did judo forever, traveled the world. I was ranked number 3 at one point in my age, weight and stuff. But I quit at 16, picked up golf, did golf forever, played professional golf on small tours, stuff like that, played college. And then after I was done with golf in college and professionally, I had some friends in college that did jiu-jitsu. And I'm like, man, I used to love grappling. So I remember in college, I went to one class. This was in Grand Junction, Colorado. I took one class. I was like, man, I really miss this. But it was really expensive because in college, you have no money. So I
Right.
kind of like, I'll come back maybe later down the road. I moved to Hawaii. And this is like right before COVID. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get into jujitsu. So I signed up for like this jiu-jitsu gym. It's at BJ Pins in Hilo, Hawaii. Didn't know anything about jiu-jitsu then. My first coach was actually, his name was Kim Terra. And I'm like, oh, everyone's like, dude, this guy's good. I remember I like looked it up, who he was, and dang, he was actually like famous, like Cal Terra's older brother.
Yeah.
So I did jiu-jitsu for like 2 to 3 months, and then COVID actually hit. So I couldn't do it. But man, I remember those 2 3 months I like fell in love with jiu-jitsu. And then we moved to Washington um, during COVID. So that happened. And I was like, man, I need to find a jiu-jitsu gym, but all of them were closed because you know how hard COVID was. They only
Right.
allowed
Right.
small classes or people that were already training at the gym. So I used to drive over to Idaho to this one gym. I did it a couple times, but it was like an hour drive. They told me they're like, hey, when this gym opens up in Spokane, it's called Newborn Jiu-Jitsu. He's like, James Weed is like the best instructor. He's like, you have to go there. So what happened was I quit jiu-jitsu for like 5 to 6 months after that, just because I couldn't get into that gym. And I just didn't want to drive out to Idaho every day. And then that coach hit me up. He invited me to come do a trial class. So I did it. And I remember after like having him as an instructor, it was like the best feeling ever. just because he was such a such a good human being, and it was really nice. Like the gym there was really friendly, and ever since then, that's how I kind of fell in love with jiu-jitsu. But now I'm in Vegas, so jiu-jitsu is great here also.
Yeah. Jiu-jitsu nowadays is becoming great all over the country. There's great places all over the place, sometimes some diamonds in the rough, but different styles in different places too. So you pick up a lot getting to train in all kinds of different places. I want to ask you, what was the transition like from judo to jiu-jitsu, and how do you feel like it helped you?
Um, Definitely trying to think the best way of saying this is I really love the tradition of judo. So it just really transitioned into the jiu-jitsu. It was really nice having like stand-up game going into jiu-jitsu, learning how to grip break, and just like having how to using your body. That was the best thing was like I wasn't like a floppy noodle when I first did jiu-jitsu. I was used to like, moving around just because of judo. So
Yeah.
picking up jiu-jitsu was really easy for me, I feel like,
Yeah.
with just like doing moves, stuff like that, just having that in the past really helped out.
Well, just the factor of understanding grips, just that aspect alone. And then, obviously you talked about the movement, but there's a lot of hip movement in judo, and again, a lot of hip movement in jujitsu. So having a little bit of structure, a little bit of balance. I kind of looked into your history, and you've done quite a bit of competitions, over 45 medals in IBJJF. Talk to me about what your experience like was competing, and you've done some international competitions as well. Talk to me about what it was like traveling and competing in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. So when I first signed up over at Newborn, I was only doing jiu-jitsu for like 3 months. And I remember my coach like signed up for Europeans. So I was like, hey, like, how's like tournament stuff like that? I was like, I saw you signed up for like this tournament in Europe. He's like, yeah. I was like, I'm actually down to go. He's like, what? He's like, your first IBGF tournament's gonna be in Europe. And I'm like, yeah, I'm down. I'm like, it's cheap flight to go to Rome. I was like, how cool that would be just to travel for jiu-jitsu. So my first white belt tournament was Europeans like 4 years ago, and it was such a great experience. Like that atmosphere was insane. It was like the Euros right after COVID. I mean, when I did the tournament, I got beat up, but it was still like a lot of fun. I remember I went against some guy that was like 6'5". I don't know how he made medium heavy, but I remember he swept me to mount and then just stay there the whole match. But I was like, still, just it was such an awesome experience. Even though I got beat up, I loved every experience. Just traveling with a team, having just a great coach that will come and coach you. Just the atmosphere of jiu-jitsu was so great then.
Right, right. And like you said, that's pretty cool to travel for jujitsu, and get that experience. And regardless the outcome of the match, that experience and that once in a lifetime opportunity only comes around so often. Life is short. Things can happen, finances can be, abrupted at any time. So you got to take advantage while you're young and while you got the opportunity to do something like that. But that's pretty cool. Talk to me what your competition preparations like. What do you do to prepare differently for a competition as opposed to just your everyday training?
So when I get ready to compete, I just find 3 to 4 certain people that I want to train with, that I think will be great training partners for a tournament. Just depending on what they have, what I'm kind of looking for, because I kind of know my division, how all people in my division play. They're gonna play heavy, they're gonna play underneath. So I'm always looking for like those kind of guys, just to train with during camps and stuff. But also, I'll train with anybody. That's the great thing about jiu-jitsu is like everyone has a different game. The biggest thing really is just finding people that you can trust that won't hurt you. If you can find just a group of people that you can trust that's gonna give you great reactions that won't hurt you, that's like the best group you can possibly have.
Yeah. Yeah, it's especially if you're competing a lot, I feel like in every jujitsu competition, no one goes in 100%, right? There's always little things or little, tweaks or something like that that you may have experienced. It's like super rare to go in like feeling great and amazing. But with that being said, you got to make sure you have the right training partners. You got to make sure that, you're not going in beat up or twisted knees or broken ribs or anything like that. And be ready for those competitions. What are you like when you're competing? Are you a cool, calm, collected kind of guy? What kind of music you listening to amp yourself up? What's your preparation like right before competition or like going into a match?
It just all depends where I go for tournaments. Usually majors, I definitely do like a hard warm up, because they have warm mats. But some of the opens you go to, they didn't have warm up mats, so I kind of just do like an easy stretch, and then I just walk in the bullpen. Just find songs I'm listening to. Right now, I'm just huge into divorced dad rock, so that's all I've been listening to recently. But that's actually like the best. Also been really into like Russian music just because of Dagestan and Mikey. So that's what I've been listening to a lot lately. But yeah, just going in there playing, just being cool. It's so funny. People always make fun of me because I'm a brown belt in judo. Been doing judo my whole life. But the biggest thing when I went over to jiu-jitsu was I told myself, I'm like, I'm not going to use my judo. I was like, I want to learn jiu-jitsu. Just because like when you go in matches, I get so bored like standing with someone just holding grips for like 2 or 3 minutes, just pushing each other, trying to get a takedown. But I'm like, man, if I just pull guard, like it's gonna be a jiu-jitsu match. Like the person has to pass, I can sweep. So I always got like a lot of like shit for like not using my judo. But I think pulling guard is so much more fun because then they have to jiu-jitsu, I have to jiu-jitsu. It's not just gonna be a sumo wrestling match for 5 to whatever time.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's pretty cool. You were saying you're a brown belt in judo. Let me ask you a couple questions. From somebody that's not familiar 100% with judo, are there certain requirements to get your black belt? And do you ever feel like you will continue to get your black belt or get your black belt in judo one day?
What's really funny is I actually could have got my black belt like 3 years ago. Like I actually did my coaching certification. I did my background. I did my kata. I just didn't show up for my black belt. That's kind of funny. I just for some reason I think I had to do one more thing. I couldn't remember what it was, but then I could have got my black belt. But I actually just felt so much love with jujitsu. I just focused on jujitsu. The cool thing about a judo black belt, other than jujitsu, is you actually have to pass a background check. So if you're like not a good person, you actually can't really get a black belt in judo. I mean, there is like certain stats where someone, if they did something like bad like a long time ago, but then they're good now, it sucks also because they can't get that black belt in judo because the USJF actually does background checks
Oh, wow.
where, yeah, for you to get a judo black belt, you actually have to pass a background check. Like IBJF, I think you actually have to do a background check, but you still can get a black belt from any coach. But judo, you have to do all those certifications. You have to do coaching, background. You have to do a kata where you do like 9 different moves. If you're not a competitor, I think it's 16 different moves, and there's judges, and they like score you, and you have to pass that. But yeah, that's how you get your black belt in judo. So it's kind of
That's
crazy because, like I said, you have to do that background check.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty interesting. I never knew that or obviously with jujitsu it's at discretion of the coach and
Hmm.
it's a very broad spectrum of the black belt requirements nowadays at least. And it's pretty interesting. But I ran into you. You did the Arte Suave Quintet. You were with Team YJJS. I want to talk to you about how the relationship with YJJS came to be, how you're linked up with them, and also what it was like competing in that quintet for you. Obviously, it's a different rule set, different type of experience. How did you feel about it?
Yeah, I was so excited for this quintet. I remember our owner said, "Hey, our Suave hit us up. They want to make a quintet team." I was like, "I don't care what weight I I have to be. I want to be on that team." It was funny because I was actually the 220 spot, and I only weighed in at 198. I remember when I did my Artist Suave like weigh in, I like took a 15-pound weight. I was like drinking a monster, and I still weighed like maybe like 10 pounds under. But yeah, YJJS, man, they're the best team I've ever been with. A little bit of backstory of them was a long time ago. I was like looking at different websites for gear because I love just buying different gear, just to see the quality and just kind of what they stand for, stuff like that. So I remember I found Your Jiu Jitsu Sucks, and there was a shirt. It was like kind of that Drake symbol where he has like the praise, and it's like if you read this, your jiu-jitsu sucks. So I messaged the owner and I was like, hey, I see this shirt sold out. Are you ever gonna make any more? And he like sent me a message like introducing himself as like Roman. And it's like he was kind of happy that I messaged him. He's like, oh, unfortunately, brother, we don't do like once we sell out, it's never gonna happen again. So I was kind of sad about that. But then just like talking to him, like exchanges was, I could tell he's such a nice guy. So I bought a couple of their gear, and he makes like the best gear, best quality, everything. After a while, I just sent him a message about being sponsored, just because, like I said, I loved like their mission, everything about them. I got lucky; he sponsored me. I got on the YJJS team. Anyone that's part of that team, man, they're just the greatest people. We have such a good like team chemistry, atmosphere. Any tournament you go to, this is what will be different from any other sponsor group is with YJJS. If you're competing, I promise you, 5 to 10 athletes will be at your match cheering you on. If you're like with someone, say like AP or Vanguard or like a smaller group, you're never gonna see like those athletes like cheering on those other athletes. Like,
Yeah.
but YJJS, we're so close. Anytime someone's competing, I promise you, a sponsor athlete's going to be there, and they're going to be cheering you on, no matter what. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, like Roman and Kevin, for bringing me on. Like they're just the best owners
Yeah.
possible. And yeah, the quintet was so cool. Like just 5 on 5. I had a blast. I was like, I remember we were like trying to make our strategy for the tournament. It was like me, Dre, Nima, Kevin, and Carson. And I remember me and Dre were butting heads for so long during trying to pick our like
The
group of like,
order, right?
dude, he was so mad at me because I'm like, hey guys, like I think this should be a group order. Dre's like, no, this should be a group order. So I like let everyone vote. Like I didn't care. I was like, let's see what everyone else. They're like, why we not throw the smallest person in first? And so we made the order. It was like Dre, me, Carson, Nima, and then Kevin. We thought that would be the smartest group. The day of the tournament, somehow Dre goes in first against the ultra heavyweight.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh man, we didn't see them throwing the ultra heavyweight first.
Yeah.
And it was rough. I remember, yeah.
Yeah. Poor Dre
I,
got ultra heavyweight. Yeah.
yeah, to this day, man, he's still mad at me about that. But I remember when the match started, I'm like, Dre, dude, come over here, pull guard right next to us. Because we can like he can slide my hand whenever he's getting us. I remember he just pulls guard right in the middle. And I'm like, bro, I told you, pull guard right next to us in case something happens. And
There
because
was
like,
like a tag team type of deal, right? Like you could tag out
yes,
during your role.
the only way you can tag out someone during that one was they had to be stuck in a submission. And like it was great strategy. Like I told Trey, like I was trying to tell Dre, I'm like, dude, once he puts you in submission, you can slap me in. I'll come in. I'll take care of it. But yeah, he stayed in the middle. Unfortunately, got squished by the ultra heavy. So I had to fight the ultra heavy next. And I thought he was a 220 guy. I'm like, this guy's really heavy. And I remember rolling, and like I saw the guy from a note. What was that brand's what are their names?
Um Obicano.
Obicano. I want to make sure I got their names correct.
Yeah.
And I saw they had Devin next, and that guy was the one that I was like worried about. I was like, this guy's been training with like B team. He's very good. And I remember I'm like, oh man, he's like coming in next. And I was like, all right, I'm just gonna play safe. I'm just gonna get us a tie. We both get out, and that's kind of what I did. And thank God Carson came in next because that, like I said, that Devin guy was really good. Like he had very good jiu-jitsu. But Carson played smart because he was next to us the whole time, and we had
Right.
Nima next. So I remember that whole match. Everyone's like, "Dude, just finish him," and Devin's just staring at Nima's big ass, just like, "I ain't going for submission." He's like, "I don't want that guy on top of me." So they drawed out two, and then yeah, Nima came out, and thank God Kevin finished both the other guys. Uh,
Yeah.
Kevin's so good, man. That was so cool watching him get 2 subs and us just winning it. I was kind of
Yeah.
worried. We were super worried about that. I remember,
That
but
was
yeah, Kevin.
huge for you guys. That was big. You guys all won $100, right?
Yeah, I won $100. That was like perfect gas money back home. But
Yeah.
yeah,
That's pretty awesome though. And obviously, we're probably going to be seeing more quintet style things possibly with the evolution of jiu-jitsu. We're seeing a lot more of those wall or pit style matches. Have you had the opportunity to compete in the pit or something along those lines?
Yeah, I have. Actually, it's so funny. There's a thing called submission grappling. It's out in Spokane. Right after the CGI, the first CGI, there's a guy in Spokane. He actually made his own pit. I got invited on that card. I was like the third match, but I was a gi match. And Mason Fowler was like, actually, I think this is the first match in the gi ever in the pit. And so I always count myself. I'm like, guys, I'm the first ski match ever in the whole world in the pit, and it was such a blast fighting in the pit. I lost by a ref's decision, but it was such a blast. Like I remember just like throwing the guy into like the wall, and he just like sliding down.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah, I think the pit's such a fun thing to do.
yeah, it changes the game just enough to make it a little bit more interesting, and the way that it prevents people from backing up. You can
Yes.
back up so much, but then once you get to that wall, you never know what's going to happen. Like, and you've seen people do some flips off of it, you've seen submissions off of it, you've seen, inverts and all kinds of crazy things. So it makes it a little bit more interesting. So I like it. I want to see more of it. I think down the road, it does have some downsides for the casual, smaller shows, like because it's an elevated platform. So,
Mhm.
requires some sort of elevated seating for it. So that can prevent some smaller shows from getting those on. But I think it's pretty cool. I hope we see more of it down the road. Let me ask you, what are some of your goals for the future and some of the things you have lined up for 2026 and on the horizon on the competition scene for you?
Yeah, most definitely. 2026. It started off really well, actually. My first tournament it was Euros this year. First time in Portugal. A big dream of mine ever since I started jiu-jitsu was I used to watch Euros in Portugal because the crowds were crazy. The stadium's awesome. So I really wanted to do that. So me and my girlfriend went to Portugal. It was awesome. I took third this year, my first Grand Slam medal. And I've only been a pro boat now for 3 months, so it was huge for me. I was so happy. Um, Recently, I just actually just got back from Albuquerque 2 days ago. One of my friends, he's trying to qualify for Worlds and Pans at black belt. He's like, "Hey man, I'm chasing this guy," and I'm like, "Bro, I'm coming with you." I was like, "We'll just road trip it. I'll compete with you. We'll just do it." Just went to Albuquerque, and then this week I'm actually leaving on Friday for Austin. I'm actually competing on Friday too because now IBGF is doing their gi on Friday. So now I'm gonna fly in Friday, get off a plane, and then go compete again. So 2 weeks in a row of just competing and see how it goes. Body's a little bit
Yeah.
beat up, but I'm always down to compete.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. And talk to me about what your training's been like lately in Vegas and the opportunities you have to work with some of the people out there.
Yeah, training's been awesome. I have a really good group here in Vegas. I train a lot with Mikey Musumeci. Let me tell you, he's like the best person possible, like nicest, just everything about him is just positive energy. I promise you, you're not gonna find no one better than Mikey. There's a lot of haters, but they're just hating because they don't know him. But I promise you, if you get to know him, he's the best. Been a huge fan ever since I started jiu-jitsu, so it's been a blessing. Also get to train with Adam Warzinski too. It's kind of crazy because like when I was a white belt, they're like, "Oh yeah, you should buy instructionals. They really help you." The first two instructionals I ever bought. So yeah, the really cool thing was like the first two instructionals I ever bought at white belt was actually Mikey and Adams. So like if you told me what during my white belt that I would be training with Mikey and Adam, I would probably be like, "No way, like that'd be crazy." But now to this day, I get to train with them. Train with Mikey 5 days a week. Like I said, amazing guy. But we just have a great core of people that I train with from all over Vegas, just like the best people. So that's really nice. And then I'll do like training with Adam on Wednesdays at our gym. He's really close to my coach. So I'll go do that training with him. But Adam's just such a nice guy too. It's awesome having like those two guys getting trained with.
Yeah. What's it like living in Vegas, a crazy town like Vegas? I just got back from there and we were talking about it a little bit before, but what's it like living there and getting to live the wonderful nightlife out there?
Man, I love Vegas. I live outside of like the strip and stuff. I live like outer Vegas, but I love it. It's like probably the best, cheapest spot I've ever lived in my life. Like I've lived in Washington, I've lived in Hawaii, I've lived in Colorado, I've lived like all over the place. So expensive, but man, Vegas is like reasonably cost. Like it's cheap out here. People don't understand how cheap it is. If you don't go downtown to like the strip. So I'm really happy. I love Vegas. So I like highly recommend to anybody if they're looking for a spot to like go get their jiu-jitsu game up or just change scenes. Vegas is this place. Way cheaper than California.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, California is a nightmare when it comes to cost. It's definitely not the place to be. Yeah, man, it's been fun getting to hear your story, dude. I love always getting to hear about the journey and you obviously having a prior martial arts background. That's pretty cool. Does your dad still train in judo? Is he still active?
No, so the funny thing about my dad was he never did judo. He just like saw it growing up, but he wanted to make sure I got into it. But my dad was the best judo coach that never did judo ever. And it's crazy because I see like these dads nowadays with their kids. Their dads don't train jiu-jitsu, but the dads know everything.
Oh
And I
yeah.
always and I always tell kids, I'm like, dude, back in the day, I would yell at my dad, like, Dad, you never did judo, you don't know what you're talking about. And then like maybe 4 to 5 years later, I'm like, wow, my dad was like kind of a genius at judo. Like everything I did wrong, he was absolutely right. And I wish I listened to him more back in the day. But now, like I'm pretty close to some like people that do jiu-jitsu, like their kids are prodigies, but their dads like always go with them. Their dad's always like coaching them, and they're like, man, my dad doesn't know anything. I'm like, to be honest, like everything your dad's saying is like pretty correct.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of crazy. Like your dad will always be your best coach, even if he doesn't do the sport.
Right.
But they know. It's kind of
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, I think of a young man out here, Ismael, and I've had him on the podcast before. His dad studies the competition, and his
Yep.
dad is a genius when it comes to the world of jiu-jitsu. He knows what they do, he knows how they play their game, he knows what they're gonna, attack with. And man, it's amazing to see. He's never trained jiu-jitsu in his life, that I know of. And it's really great seeing him out there just studying the art, and you can really like if you want, like you can definitely study it. And
Yes.
nowadays, I'm seeing things on Amazon pop up like flashcards and stuff, and I'm like, what in the world? Like, it's a different time, it's a different day and age, and I know some people have developed some coloring books and things to help kids, understand movements and recognition of the movements. And, it's a wild day and age. You got AI nowadays probably teaching people how to train jujitsu. It's pretty funny, but the world of jujitsu is always evolving. And I think we're just touching the very bottom of the iceberg. I think there's a lot more to see, a lot more to experience, and we gotta just keep evolving with it. Jujitsu is changing. We're seeing these pits pop up, and we just gotta be ready for it. But I got
Yeah.
some fun questions for you. You ready to shoot off some fun ones?
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay. Today I seen an announcement online that the King Gordon Ryan retired finally, officially. Says he's done with competition. Over or under? Do you think he stays retired, or do you think he comes back?
No, that man definitely staying retired. I know his tummy's hurting now. So I just think of all the steroids he took, there's no way that he can like come back. Yeah, I think he's gonna be retired for sure.
And here's another one. I've gotten different responses, but what do you think's a more prestigious title, a Nogi Worlds title through IBJJF or a ADCC World title?
For Nogi, that's tough. It used to be IBGF until ADCC kind of took over, I would say. But now all the best athletes do go to ADCC and, do that. So I would say ADCC is probably more prestige right now um, for Nogi for sure. I just wish it was like an organization where all the best athletes can just fight. There wasn't like UFC BJJ one championship. Like there was one organization that paid so much money. You don't have to be with anybody, and they can just all fight it out to see who the best is.
Yeah. Who do you think did it better with the walls, UFC or Craig Jones?
Man, I actually like the UFC's a little bit better. I like kind of like the oval shape, where like I don't know. I think it just looks so much cooler in there than the actual pit walls. Kind of like that oval where, yeah,
Yeah, the rounded surface to it, right? Instead of the
yeah,
slant.
yes. Actually,
Yeah.
yeah, I like the circle. What about you?
Yeah, I've never got the opportunity to train in either one. I think I'd prefer the Craig Jones one
Hmm.
a little bit more, but yeah, I think they're both pretty interesting concepts and they are a little bit different. They're not exactly the same. So I think it changes the game. I think they're both their own identities and they're both cool for their own reasons.
Yeah, I love the pit. I'm actually debating right now. In 2 weeks, I can go back to Colorado and do what is it's an organization. I can't remember what it's called. But what you do is you wear a suit, and then they either throw a knife or gun in, and it's like a small pit. And
Oh
I actually
wow.
hit the guy up, and they're actually doing a quintet. And so I've been trying to like find people. I'm like, hey, you guys want to just go to Colorado and do this quintet? But I haven't found anybody yet. But I actually might take a super match, and it'll be like a last minute thing. But I just think like those kind of jiu-jitsu is so fun, like that and car jiu-jitsu and coffin
Oh
jiu-jitsu.
yeah, it's all
I was I was actually supposed to do a car jiu-jitsu match, but then something happened where I just couldn't do it. But yeah, I just love those
okay.
kind of stuff.
So what would your car jitsu match approach be? I want to hear it.
So I was talking to my old coach about this, and he's like, listen, to win a car jiu-jitsu match, it's whoever gets the seatbelt off first is going to win. So he's like, during this match, we would work on hand fighting the seatbelt, not letting them to get their seatbelt off, and you getting your seatbelt off first. So it's like trying to make sure they keep their seatbelt on, we get off, and then whoever gets their seatbelt off is going to get on top. And if you ever watch any car jiu-jitsu matches, whoever gets on top usually wins. And the cool thing is like once you get on top, you can go outside the window. So you can like take the seatbelt, put it around her neck, and just like lean outside of the car. You just can't fall out. So you can just hit like a nasty like bow and arrow with the actual like seatbelt. So it was actually like really fun. Like I was actually kind of excited to do this car jiu-jitsu match, but it fell through just because the strategy was like actually super interesting about it.
What kind of car would they put you in? Do you know?
It was like a really small car. It was like
Oh,
just like it was a Prius. It was a Prius they
Prius.
had. Yeah,
Okay.
they had a
Okay,
Prius
that's
that
interesting.
didn't. Yeah, they had a Prius that didn't work, and that was the match.
Okay. I like it. That's pretty interesting. A Prius, man. That's intense, man. You gotta take your buddy out in the Prius.
Yeah, and then also if you get to the back seat first, you're also going to win the match.
Yeah.
So it's
The back
whoever
seat's
gets
got to be the best position, right?
yes, because
Yeah.
once if you can control their seatbelt where they don't buckle, you get to the back seat, you get the seatbelt, you can just like hit a nasty ridiculous choke with there.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's either fighting to get outside the car or the back seat is the way to win the car jiu-jitsu match that we were determining.
I do gotta say in that kind of situation, it's gotta suck when if you had automatic seating instead of the manual because you could just pull those levers and fall back in the chair. But if you got
Yes.
automatic, if it's the electronic ones, those things go back real slow. So I mean, it's
Yeah,
gonna
it was.
take a while to get
I actually,
back.
I actually asked the guy. I'm like, is it like automatic or can I just like throw my seat down? He's like, no, it's electric. He's like, yeah, you'll be choked out before the seat even gets down. I'm like, dang. I'm
Oh
asking
yeah,
all this.
that's bad. Yeah,
I was, I was so bummed.
yeah, man, that's an interesting concept though. I've been seeing those pop up a little bit more and yeah, that's interesting. Very, very, very cool. Um yeah, let me ask you this. I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but are we pulling guard or are we wrestling to start out
I'm
our matches?
the way I always see it is if I think I can out wrestle a person, I'll wrestle. But if not, I just like to pull guard. I mean, I'm gonna wrestle regardless, but I don't know. I just like to pull guard just because, like I said, I like to do jiu-jitsu and not make the match boring of me just trying to wrestle
Yeah,
for 5 minutes.
right. You see a lot of those people get into just a strictly wrestling match, on their feet, trying to set ties and get some sort of control. And especially nogi, it can be a lot more difficult and a lot more easy to slip those. But yeah, man, it's a whole different world we live in when it comes to all that fun stuff. But yeah, it's been awesome getting to talk to you, brother. And I'm excited to see where you go down the road. And I've seen your evolution. Getting to do that match, that's pretty cool. And I hear you getting to do all these unique style matches, and that's what it's all about, getting that experience. No one has the same journey, and it's all about just making it particular to what you like and what you want to do, and you've got to experience a lot of traveling and some pretty cool stuff. And I do got one more question. What was your favorite place to travel throughout your journey and along the way?
Yeah, I would say my favorite place was doing the Asian Open over in Japan. Like nothing beats going to Japan. So anytime I can go to Japan, I always like, oh, I'm just gonna do the Asia Open. Anytime I want to travel, I always just find a jiu-jitsu tournament. I either have a friend in that place that I haven't seen in a long time. I'm like, hey, I need to go visit this friend, or like I really want to go there. So why not compete and then just have fun traveling? Beats
Yeah,
like it kind of kills two birds with one stone. I think I always tell people that. But yeah, I would say the Asia Open was definitely
yeah.
my favorite place. Just because Japan's the best food, the best atmosphere, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, you nowadays it also makes it easy to make a connection with jujitsu, like with Instagram and the community and sponsorships and things like that, how much you compete. You get to know a lot of different people from all over the place. So you can have friends all over the country just with a connection of jujitsu, and it's pretty cool and unique.
That's actually like one of the biggest things why I love jiu-jitsu is you get the best connections. Like you go to tournaments, you just talk to people, you'll make friends all over the world. So wherever you travel, you have a place to train and stuff like that. I always tell myself, even if I'm not doing a tournament and I'm just traveling, I make sure to train at some gyms just to
Yeah,
build friendships. Like that's the biggest thing for
right.
me about jiu-jitsu is building bonds with people, seeing how people are, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that's why I love jiu-jitsu. It's just making those friendships and bonds with people.
Yeah, the community's great. I mean, obviously, we got some crazy things going on in the jiu-jitsu community as a whole, but the overall community is great overall, and people are good in the community. There's a lot of good people out there. I feel like the good people outweigh the bad in jiu-jitsu, and it's really great that we've been able to make this connection even, and I wish you nothing but success in the future. I always like to give our guests just a couple minutes for any kind of shout outs, any sort of love towards any of their training partners, sponsors, anything like that. But Justin, it's been awesome getting to know you, and like I said, I wish you nothing but success. Just take a couple minutes though. The floor is yours.
Yeah. Again, thank you so much for having me on this podcast. Love talking to you. I gotta thank Nima and David for getting me on, telling me how great person you are. But yeah, huge shout out to YJJS. They're the best sponsors. Roman, Kevin, thank you for always trusting in me with the brand, stuff like that. I want to thank all my training partners here in Vegas, Mikey, Adam. I train at I cross train at like five different gyms. My home gym is Ingle Jiu Jitsu, so whenever you're in town, please check us out. But huge shout out to Methods Jiu Jitsu for always letting me to train, Bill Bros, Orient Jiu Jitsu. Um, Infinity Jiu Jitsu is where I train out a lot too. Ed King is such an amazing guy. So that's the nice thing about Vegas is, man, you can cross train anywhere. People are like the best here. Everyone's just trying to iron sharpens iron. That's how we always think
Right.
about it. Just having those great people always around is makes jiu-jitsu so much easier than having negative people. So that's always nice. But yeah,
Yeah.
again, thank you so much for having me.
Of course, man. Yeah, it's been awesome having you. And don't forget to check out our partners of the show, Spar Bar Soap and Butterfly X, for all your exclusive gear. But thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. You can check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere where you download podcasts, you could probably find us. But thank you to everyone for tuning in each and every week. This has been another great episode of Grapplers Talk. This is Dave, and we are
This
out.
is Grapplers Talk.